Lesson 7-3, a fraction as a multiple of a unit fraction. The focus of this lesson is for you to represent the relationship between 1/3 and a whole using fraction circles. I want you to be able to discuss representations of unit fractions, to find multiples of unit fractions, and to multiply those unit fractions by whole numbers. But first, let's start with our mental math and fluency, comparing fractions. On the screen you see 1/2 and 1/4. You should know by now that if you have 1/2, even if you were looking at your circle pieces, you would know that that is greater than 1/4. Since this side is larger than the next, and when we read left to right, the greater end of our arrow points to the greater number. So this number is greater than. 2/3 versus 2/5. Again, if you have 2 out of 3, that's more than 2 out of 5 because your pieces would be much smaller on this side. So we again have the greater than symbol. 3 out of 6 versus 4 out of 10. When I first looked at this problem, I thought, yikes, how am I going to figure it out? And then I realized that 3 out of 6 is half, and 4 out of 10 is not quite half. So again, it's the greater than symbol. Remember when you're comparing fractions, if you come across one such as this, look to see if one of them is a half. And if it is, the top number is half of the bottom number. You should be able to tell right away then if it's greater or less than the number you're comparing it to. Read this to yourself as I read it out loud. It says, Jen used 1/3 cup of skim milk to make a strawberry smoothie. Choose a fraction circle piece to represent how much milk Jen used. If the piece you choose represents 1/3, then what piece is the whole? Well, if you chose, and I want you to get the fraction circle pieces out so you understand what I'm going to be saying, I want you to look at the light blue. If you say the light blue, and I'm going to abbreviate it, light blue, equals 1/3, then what would my whole be? Well, if I put 3 light blues together, I want you to do that quickly, my whole would be the pink, because 3 of the light blue would make 1 pink. What if I said my third was the light green? What if I made that piece my third? Get that out of your bag, please. If I would put 3 of those together, what color would my whole be? Well, you'd notice that your whole is a yellow. And again, what if I said that my third was the dark green? And I put 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 for 3/3 together. What whole would I now have? You should notice now that your whole could equal 6 purples. Remember, students, 1/3 is an example of a unit fraction, which is a fraction with a numerator of 1. This has a numerator of 1, so it's a unit fraction. And unit fractions are part of the whole. Okay, I want you to still continue thinking about that math message. And for this activity, I'm going to say the red fraction circle is the whole. Okay, so I'm going to put the red fraction circle down here. I'm going to draw the circle, and I'm put R for red. And you should have that out of your baggie. And the piece that's going to represent the third is the orange fraction circle. So you should have orange, fraction circle, orange. This is the whole. The orange is the third. How much milk does Jen need to make 2 smoothies based on the fraction pieces and the previous information that I gave you? Pause the recording and figure that out. You should have noticed that it takes 2/3 of a cup. How could you represent this story with fraction circle pieces? Well, you would have taken the third plus the third, and sorry I didn't make those quite perfect, and that will equal 2/3. So 1/3 plus 1/3 equals 2/3. You should notice that that is my addition equation. So how would I write a multiplication equation? Well, I had 2/3, so 2 times a third equals 2/3. That's how I would write it. So let's try multiplying some whole numbers with fractions. 3 times 1/4. Well, my denominator remains the same, and 3 times 1 is 3, so 3 times 1/4 is 3/4. Again, 7 times 1/8. My eighth remains my denominator. 7 times 1 is 7. That becomes my numerator, 7/8. 6 now is my denominator. I multiply the numerator. 9 times 1 is 9. My answer is 9/6. And 5 times 1/2. 2 is my denominator. 5 times 1 is 2. So when multiplying whole numbers by fractions, we take that whole number and multiply just the numerator, the top number. Next, you're going to do Math Journal, page 234. If you can read the directions by yourself, you can pause the recording now and finish that page. You are going to take page 234 up to the answer key and correct it yourself. If there is anything that you got wrong, go ahead and bring it to me so I can show you what you misunderstood or did incorrectly. Number 1 says, write an addition equation and a multiplication equation to describe each picture. So I'm going to help you with the first one. I have 1 out of 8 pieces, so my addition equation would be 1/8. And again, I have 1 out of 8 pieces, so it's 1/8 plus 1/8, and I know right away that that is 2/8. How would I do that as a multiplication equation? Well, I have 2 that each have 1/8, which also is going to give me, remember, we leave the bottom number alone, the denominator. We multiply the 2 by the numerator 1, and we come up with 2/8. What is the second multiple of 1/8? 2/8. Number 2 says write an addition equation using 1/5. Then a multiplication equation. What is the sixth multiple of 1/5? Your answers should all be the same. Draw a picture to represent the equations. Addition equation 1/6, 1/6 plus 1/6. You could do something similar like they did here with 1/5, 1/5, 1/5. Then you can write a multiplication equation drawing 1/6 of something 3 times. Again, for number 4, you're doing the same thing. For 5, it says use a unit fraction to write an addition equation and an equivalent multiplication equation. Draw the picture to represent that equation. Stop the recording now. Please do this page and go check it up at the answer key. For the assessment check-in, you're going to do Math Journal, page 235. Please note that the page that is being shown on your screen is not Math Journal, page 235. I do not have that available to me at this moment. So just do Math Journal, page 235, bring it up to me so I can check off that assessment check-in, and then turn the recording on, and we are going to pick up now where you see the screen. So pause the recording, do 235, and then turn it on when you're ready for the next instruction. Math Journal, page 236, is a review of math boxes. Math box 1 says, Tori has 3 packages of cookies. Each package weighs 5/6 a pound. How many pounds do all the packages weigh? So remember, you're thinking of pounds. So you're going to have to figure out 3 times 5/6. Then you're going to write how many groups of how much, your addition equation and your multiplication equation. You just finished doing these. If you don't remember, rewind this recording and listen to it again. Number 2 says angle TAP is a what kind of angle? You need to write a cuter of 2's. Then use a protractor to measure that angle and write your degrees here. Number 3, Daniel drew a line segment that was 5/8 inches long, and then he made it 3/8 inches longer. How long is a line segment now? If you need to, get out a measuring tool, or if you know, I can just add it and I already know the answer, go ahead and finish this math box. Number 4 says fill in the blanks. How many pounds equals 64 ounces? Well, you're going to have to take 64 ounces divided by 16 because that's how many ounces are in a pound. Again, 1/4 pound equals how many ounces? You're taking how many ounces are in 1 pound, dividing it by a 4 to come up with your answer. 5 tons equals how many pounds? Well, this time you're multiplying because you got to take 5 times how many pounds are in 1 ton and then multiply it by 5. How many centimeters is in 6 meters? We'll figure out how many centimeters is in 1 meter and then multiply that answer by 6. And again, how many meters equals 1,000 millimeters? Well, you're going to have to take 8,000 millimeters and divide it to get your answer for meters. Number 5 says for you to explain how you solved problem number 1. Write an answer there. Go back, check this out with the answer key. When you're finished, bring it up to me so I can see that you corrected it. Thank you. The last page you're going to do for lesson 7.3 is Math Masters, page 266. You will need to go back to the file to get this paper, so go ahead and pause the recording and do that now. The paper states, write a multiplication equation to describe each picture or story. So 4 times something is your multiplication equation. And then what is the 4th multiple of 1/5? You should have that answer. For number 2, it says, what's your multiplication equation for what the picture in the drawing is showing you here? So what is the 3rd multiple of 1/10? Your answer should go here. Number 3, Dimitri fixed a snack for 5 friends. Each friend got half of an avocado. How many avocados did Dimitri use? Do your multiplication equation. If you need to draw it over here, do that. And then answer how many avocados. Juanita made 3 protein shakes. Altogether, she used 1 cup of protein powder to make them. Each had the same amount. How many cups of protein powder are in each shake? Well, you have 1 cup, and you're dividing it by 3, so you're going to have a fraction. First, show it in a multiplication equation, and then write the fraction for your answer. And the final practice is adding and subtracting fractions. Finish Math Masters, page 266, then bring it up to me so I can check it off that you have it done. This is the end of lesson 7.3.